knew me in high school as that girl that, even though I partied and I did all of these other things, that, you know, I didn't sleep around. And that's my one thing. The one thing I wanted to keep precious. And these girls would come to me, and I remember them crying and telling me how they'd given themselves away to guys who didn't care, and how deeply they regretted it. And I didn't want that to be me. I wanted to walk down the aisle and look my husband in the eyes and tell him that nobody had ever had me, nobody ever would but him. Not because my parents told me so, not because it was their religion, but because I wanted to be able to give him something that nobody else had ever had. I wanted to wear a white dress and it not be a lie. Things kind of came to a head at my parents' house. The conflict was rising. We were constantly fighting. The more drinking that I did, the more ways I would act out, the more I was in trouble. I was grounded most of my senior year. And I went into it thinking, I'm 18 now, I can do whatever I want. You can't punish me anymore, but I was wrong. I didn't think they could ground me, I was 18. But I was grounded for half the year. I got drunk one day and I decided that it would be a great idea, since I was just about to get off grounding and have my freedom back. I was drunk and I went to my counselor and I was afraid that she would tell my parents, and so I thought it would be really wise to tell her. If I threatened her and I told her that if she told my parents I'd been drinking, I'd kill myself. But that didn't go over too well for some reason. And I ended up being put on suicide watch. My parents agreed to take responsibility for me. The door was removed, and they hid all the scissors and the knives in the house. But what they forgot about was that my dad kept a Swiss Army knife in his closet. I, again, had this taste of freedom that was ripped away by my own hands nonetheless. It sucked. And I felt helpless again. I snuck to my father's room and I stole his Swiss Army knife. And I told my parents I was going for a walk. And there's this little white bridge just down the street. I walked down to the bridge, and there I just completely lost myself. These voices in my head, not knowing what to do. It was like something inside me yet again was just throwing itself around. And the only thing that I knew to do was to take it out on myself. I tore my arm to pieces. And when there was no room left, I turned to the other one. And then I went back home and I sat in my room and cried and held my arm over the trash can because I didn't want to get the floor dirty, because maybe I'd get in trouble. And my father found me, and I remember him picking me up and carrying me to the bathroom. His heart was breaking. And that night I decided I couldn't be there anymore because I was poisoned. I was breaking my family apart. I remember looking up in the mirror and seeing my mother and my sister with these rags soaked in my blood. They had been walking the dog and seen the bridge covered in my blood, and they had cleaned it. No matter how many drugs I took, I couldn't run away from that memory in that house. So I decided I would leave. A friend took me in, and a few days later I remember going to the pool and we met this guy. He was sweet. And we went to a show together. And I got trashed out of my mind. I didn't know it then, but that night all my little fairy tale stories and my white dress was about to be taken away from me. We went to a party, and I don't remember a whole lot about it. I know that I could hardly walk. I remember thinking that I needed my cigarettes, and I left them in his truck. So I made my way down the stairs, and he followed me. He had informed his friends of his plans for me that night, and they were all standing on the balcony. I came to find out later. He had this CB radio that he would turn on, and he used to scream at people as he was driving down the street, and he had it on so that they could hear. I went to get my cigarettes and he followed me, and I was too drunk to fight him off or to do anything about it. And his friends were there on the balcony listening to me scream and did nothing. He was the first of many. When did promises snap like twigs? When did our words become weightless and empty? When did we get to this place where we were so free? here, yelling at my dog, him, laying in a filthy mess, feeling dead and vile and numb and blank, and wanting so badly to tear my flesh. I don't want to be here. Blacking my eyes and throwing up my food, dying to go home, sleeping on the floor. I don't want to lie in this bed. Contaminated, dirty, tainted, stained, destroyed, filthy, awful, stupid, broken bed. Nor do I want you in it. Or anyone else. It would be wrong. Who would want to? How did we get to this place where scabs are never given a chance to heal? Where we pick and rip and tear them off? Oh, the patient world. Oh, sad, wretched little world. Yet, how beautiful. Filled with contradictions, complementary opposites. How do you coexist? I don't want to be here with this rotting carcass of a monster sunk sharp into my organs, refusing to leave my insides. Get me out. Get me out of here, Marionette. I danced brainless through the motions, one foot in front of the other, pleasing, appeasing, wooded and hollow, and dying to be free. How do I heal when I want to starve everything that feels? I could wash these sheets 1,000,000 times and they would never be clean. And I don't know anything anymore. Cushion her with music, a song to break her fall. A melody is a parachute and a sledgehammer and a band-aid, salt and scalpel and a microphone and a tear and something when we are nothing at all. I don't want to be here. Used and useless and oh so confused. I am so confused. Is he just a dog returning to his vomit? Am I his vomit? And he yelled at me for thinking such things of this mess, and he left me to clean it up. And I don't know how. I don't know how to deal with this, to clean this mess. To sleep again and believe this room can somehow be new and clean. I don't want to be here. If I lay down in it, I am frozen and stiff and still, mind racing, exploded, scattered, fragmented all over the place, every place but here. My eyes fixed through the ceiling, salty and bitter, and begging, sweaty, balled up fists, hoping desperately I could squeeze hard enough to drive my nails into my palms, and then just focus on that. Because I don't want to be here. Tongue feels severed and swollen, just a worthless lump inside my dry mouth, and I'm choking on oranges. I said no. But he said, she said, I guess the words get lost in the bullshit kicked up in the dust behind us as we run. Was I the finish line? Surely not I, as in my person, my heart. Merely I as in myself, the hateful thing I existed, and well, I guess you won. My body is the spoils of war. How disgusting. The plunder you ravaged and claimed after forcing your way through. Tricky, scheming, lying. What kind of victory is that? But I can't be mad. He cried and cried and cried and cried as I lay there concentrating on being numb. Shut up. Shut up, I said. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to believe it. And his tears made me want to die. How does that work? How do you get to make me